The Trump administration has initiated a significant policy shift targeting Chinese students in the United States. Thousands of existing visas are being canceled, and new visa applications face suspension. This crackdown questions America's role as an academic haven and impacts universities' research and international relations. The policy is framed as a national security measure, citing concerns about espionage and intellectual property theft. Critics argue political motivations are at play, targeting U.S. universities often viewed as liberal bastions. The policy affects global research collaboration and academic freedom. Reports suggest Trump's aides planned this for years, building on his first administration's groundwork. Former President Trump hinted at such moves, vowing to deny entry to communists and Marxists. The global implications are profound, potentially changing international student mobility patterns. The U.S. might lose its top spot for students, with other nations becoming more attractive study destinations. This shift could reshape higher education worldwide and impact America's soft power and influence. The free flow of ideas and talent is at stake. The debate continues: security necessity or political strategy? Understanding this policy requires looking at many angles. Its consequences will unfold for years to come. The visa cancellations are extensive and targeted, affecting thousands of Chinese student visas, particularly in STEM fields. The administration believes these fields are sensitive and vulnerable to foreign exploitation. Students with alleged links to certain Chinese institutions face scrutiny. U.S. embassies and consulates have new directives to halt visa interviews for many Chinese student applicants. The lack of specific justification fuels criticism and concerns about fairness and due process. Increased surveillance is another key component, with visa applicants now required to provide all social media handles used in the last 5 years. Privacy advocates worry about violations of personal privacy and fears of racial and ideological profiling. Civil liberties groups argue it is a domestic free speech issue affecting non-citizens. The collection of vast amounts of social media data creates potential for misuse and discrimination. The focus on Chinese nationals raises profiling concerns, with critics arguing individuals should be assessed on their own merits. The debate over security and liberty intensifies daily. The stated goal of the policy is national security, emphasizing protecting U.S. interests and concerns about espionage and intellectual property theft. Officials argue that some Chinese students pose a risk, potentially compelled by their government to share sensitive research or technology. The focus on STEM fields aligns with this narrative, as these fields are critical to economic and military strength. However, many observers point to strong political motivations, coinciding with intensified rhetoric from the administration targeting left-leaning academic institutions. U.S. universities have faced various pressures, including funding cuts and accusations of anti-American bias. Analysts suggest a deeper agenda might be at play, intending to reshape U.S. higher education and alter its ideological orientation. By restricting certain international students and pressuring universities, conformity might be encouraged, aligning with a broader populist and nationalist agenda. The policy serves as a powerful signal of a tougher stance on China and globalism, reflecting ongoing geopolitical tensions. The crackdown can be seen as part of a larger strategy to counter China's growing influence, appealing to a segment of the electorate concerned about national sovereignty and economic competition from China. The economic impact on U.S. universities is substantial, with over 360,000 Chinese students contributing an estimated $14.9 billion through tuition fees and living expenses. This revenue is vital for many American universities, and its loss creates a significant financial hole. Many institutions now face difficult budget decisions, potentially losing billions in annual revenue. Graduate programs, especially in STEM, are at risk, often relying heavily on international students. Chinese students form a large part of this cohort, and their absence could lead to staffing shortages in research labs and significant delays or cancellations of research projects. The economic downturn extends beyond university budgets, affecting auxiliary services that support students, including housing, dining, and local businesses. Local economies surrounding universities will be hit hard, with job losses in these sectors a real possibility. The financial strain could lead to unwelcome changes, such as cutting programs or faculty and raising tuition for remaining students, making U.S. education less accessible. Reduced funding for research impacts innovation and the training of the next generation of scholars. The long-term economic consequences are still unfolding, but the immediate picture is one of concern. The United States faces a serious risk of a reverse brain drain, with talented international students crucial for the U.S. in STEM fields. If these students go elsewhere, America loses, and many are now choosing other countries for their studies. Canada, the UK, Germany, and Australia are popular alternatives, offering welcoming environments and opportunities. Competitor nations are actively recruiting these students, seeing an opportunity in the U.S. policy shift. Canada has moved to fast-track student visas and extended post-study work pathways, making it easier for students to stay and work. European nations have introduced targeted scholarships to attract top international talent. This global competition for talent is intensifying, with the U.S. at risk of falling behind. This shift is not just about individual students but the future of innovation and economic growth. Countries that attract top talent gain a competitive edge, benefiting from new ideas and discoveries. The U.S. has long benefited from this global talent pool, with its universities and industries thriving as a result. Losing this advantage would be a significant blow, impacting America's leadership in science and technology. The long-term consequences could be far-reaching, with the global landscape of higher education changing. The U.S. policy is a major catalyst for this change, with other countries increasing their scholarship funding and forming new research alliances. China is also investing heavily in its domestic universities, aiming to retain its own talent and attract others. This could lead to a more multipolar academic world, challenging the dominance of U.S. institutions. The administration has voiced strong criticisms of academic institutions, accusing them of fostering anti-American sentiment and enabling foreign infiltration. These accusations create a climate of suspicion, putting pressure on universities and their faculty. Federal measures include surveillance of faculty with foreign ties, which can have a chilling effect on research and discourage international collaboration. Curriculum transparency mandates require universities to disclose more about their courses, aiming to ensure accountability but raising concerns about government overreach. Funding for universities is becoming conditional, potentially tied to ideological alignment with federal positions, raising serious concerns about academic independence. Universities should be places for free inquiry and debate, not platforms for advancing a specific political agenda. Faculty unions and education advocacy groups are preparing legal challenges against these policies, citing violations of the First Amendment and executive overreach. Targeting individuals based on nationality is also unconstitutional, and these legal battles will be closely watched. The principles of open inquiry are being tested, with broader implications for academic values. The crackdown attempts to redefine these values and institutional independence, reframing America's role in global innovation. Universities are increasingly portrayed as ideological battlegrounds, with international students cast as potential security liabilities. This narrative undermines the core mission of universities to pursue knowledge and foster understanding. The Chinese government has reacted strongly to U.S. actions, condemning the visa cancellations as discriminatory and politically motivated. This sharp rhetoric signals a deepening diplomatic rift, with the relationship between the two global powers strained. These academic policies add another layer of tension, making trust and cooperation increasingly difficult. The fallout extends beyond the educational sphere, impacting broader bilateral relations. Beijing has taken several countermeasures, including suspending official academic exchange programs with U.S. institutions. The Chinese government is encouraging its students to look elsewhere, promoting Europe and other parts of Asia as alternatives. This could redirect global student flows significantly, with China imposing tighter restrictions on U.S.-based NGOs and research programs operating in China facing new hurdles. These actions represent a significant decoupling, severely damaging U.S.-China academic collaboration. Chinese graduate students are integral to many U.S. labs, contributing to critical fields of research such as artificial intelligence, quantum computing, biomedical engineering, and climate science. Visa issues disrupt research timelines significantly, with doctoral programs facing under-enrollment challenges and collaborative grants jeopardized by these tensions. Scientific breakthroughs could be delayed by years, with the U.S. risking losing its innovation edge. The future of global higher education is being reshaped, with current U.S. policies contributing to this shift. A new era of academic nationalism may be emerging, potentially leading to a wider exclusion of international students from other nations as well. The core issue is one of power and control. dictating the future of knowledge creation and whose voices are amplified or suppressed. Redefining academic values has global consequences, with the world watching as the future of open inquiry hangs in balance.